up there in the corner, mass equals hv over c squared, which means essentially anything that has mass also has frequency. And pictures to promote an old Robert Redford, Jane Fonda movie called Electric Horseman. And we found in a pretest that the smallest distance was Jane Fonda intelligent. So people thought Jane Fonda was intelligent. So we had a condition. We would have a control group, which is this top line, read a message about a book coming out about movies and movie stars. No mention of Jane Fonda. The first treatment group, we gave a plausible message. We said, did you know, for example, Jane Fonda was considered the most intelligent actress of the 70s? So the treatment group that received that message, the message worked. It actually caused a change in the distance between Jane Fonda and intelligent. And the second group was an implausible group. Cool. So that's the control group, that's the treatment group, so it worked. And you can notice that the motion is normal sinusoidal, calm, as it were. The second group was an implausible message. The farthest distance was Jane Fonda and funny. So people didn't think she was very funny. So again, they received the message that said there was a book about movie stars. Did you know Jane Fonda was considered the most funniest actress of the 70s? And that worked. That worked, but the motion was chaotic. Right? Cognitive dissonance, first motion pictures of thought. Well, that need to explore another aspect of consciousness. Right? So far, we've looked at our internal reality. There's a Marilyn Schlitz, is she the? Okay. She said in a recent interview in Enlightened Next that we're interested in subjective and objective. I like to think of it as internal reality and external reality. So we've got a model of our internal reality, these concepts in a conceptual space, or marbles in a jello bowl, and they're wiggling around, creating a frequency interference pattern. I stumbled onto holographic theory in a book, in the same book that I read about Thomas Kuhn, called Marilyn Ferguson's Aquarian Conspiracy, Liberating Knowledge. And they talked about David Bohm and Carl Krieger, who both came up with the idea that what we perceive with our physical senses is not the whole deal. There's some other level of reality. They came to it from two different starting points. David Bohm was trying to figure out the Clauser-Friedman experiment, where they separated two subatomic particles, they changed the spin of one, the other one changed simultaneously. Well, that can't happen according to normal physics. There would be some time lag before the information got to the other particle. Well, Bohm says, the only way we can make sense of this, which they call now entanglement, and it's a very well-known concept in physics, is to imagine if you're looking at two TV screens in flat two-dimensional reality, and every time this fish moves simultaneously. It seems like they're separate yet somehow connected. Well, unbeknownst to you, up here, at the 3D, it's the same fish. The higher dimensional reality is the same particle. Now, what Bohm was saying there's two levels of reality. He calls our normal reality the explicate order, the underlying other reality where everything's fundamentally connected. Objects and events are separate within the explicate order. All information/energy is connected beyond in the implicate order. Carl Krieger was trying to figure something else out. He was wondering, how is memory stored in the brain? Carl Krieger was a neurophysiologist at Stanford. In fact, I got a chance to meet him, and Charles and I were talking about that last night, because Charles got a chance to meet him as well. And he said that the old assumption is that memories are stored in engrams, specific parts of the brain for specific memories. So you remember your Uncle Harry over here, and your Aunt Sally over here, you cut this part of the brain, you forget your Aunt Sally, but you still remember your Uncle Harry. Well, that's not the way it works. Memories are not stored in specific places, they're stored throughout the entire body. And Krieger goes, well, wait a minute. Like a hologram. Take a holographic plate, shining laser light through it, and you see the three-dimensional object. If you take that plate and smash it into bits, and you take one part of that holographic plate and shine the light through, you still get the entire image of that star, or the apple, or whatever it is that you photographed. It's just less resolution. Same thing with the brain. Okay? Memories are stored throughout the entire volume of the brain. So you can see, right, that arc implies the pebble landed there. This arc implies the pebble landed there. Same with over here. Right? Wherever the pebbles landed is stored throughout the entire volume. He says if our brains work holographically, then what we perceive as reality has to be a secondary level of reality, or an explicate order. He says underlying that is a primary level of reality, or what she calls the frequency domain. So when Bowie and Friedman met, it was like Lennon and McCartney meeting. And Charles told me the story last night that they were in the bathroom together having an argument, and Bowen finally caved in and said, yeah, you're right, the brain works like a hologram, and what we perceive as a four-dimensional hologram. So for the first time, scientists are kind of backed up against the wall saying, we give up, there is something else out going on. You can call it Brahman, Chi, the Force, whatever movie or philosophy you want to buy into, or religion. The implicate order, primary reality, Friedman calls it the frequency domain, Bohm calls it the undivided wholeness. We now have scientific symbols for something else out there. Okay. So now we've got these two parts of consciousness. We have an internal reality, we have an external reality. Our internal reality is a frequency interference pattern, marbles in the jello bowl wiggling around. Our explicate order, our secondary reality, our four-dimensional hologram, is one frequency pattern out of the entire frequency domain. My hypothesis was that just like in nature, if you start two pendulums going in opposite way, Christian Huygens, who was a contemporary of Newton's, built the first pendulum clocks. And he found after a while, all the pendulum clocks were ringing the same way. Women know that when they live in the same house, their cycles start to match. Fireflies flashing on and off, right? They become trained. Man and woman live together for 50 years, start looking like each other and the dog. Systems, interacting, oscillating systems, tend to become things. So my hypothesis was this. If your internal reality is a frequency interference pattern, your external reality is a frequency interference pattern, why wouldn't these two systems form a phase-locked system? Right? We already know that visualization affects our health. Visualization affects sports performance, shooting foul shots. My hypothesis was if our external reality is phase-locked to our conceptual reality, visualizing anything would alter the probabilities of events. Now, at the time I was a grad student, my other mentor, Don Cushman, who, if you can imagine Don Rickles, 6'4", with a voice like Jay Leno, he said, yeah, you can visualize the shit out of being Superman. As soon as you jump off the tower, you're going to start to reinterpret. Well, yeah, Don, we're looking at some lower level events here. Now, at the time, I was playing in a band, and Ronald Reagan was in office. And my friend Kate worked on Mario Cuomo's campaign for governor. And she told me that he was really interested in new ideas. And so I'm a presumptuous young graduate student, so I figured my friend Rob and I just put out a record making fun of our Republican president. It's called Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan's face and Bob Marley's hair. So I dropped a copy off at the governor's office. I said, my friend Kate worked on your campaign. She says you're interested in new ideas. Well, we got one. And he wrote me the letter back saying, thanks for the record. My kids really liked it. Send me a copy of your dissertation. So I'm psyched, right? You know, I'm 25 years old, and he's got me to write me a letter back. So I give him a copy of my dissertation. And he wrote me a letter back saying, I admire the conclusion of your thesis that there is some type of justice or karma in the universe, but it may take some time for people to fully appreciate the elegance of the Galileo holographic model. So I'm psyched. I go to my dissertation committee, this one guy starts slamming his fist against the table. You can't have a theory like this. Blah, blah, blah. I was like, well, the governor said it's all right. So I showed him the letter, and the guy left me alone. But the point is, they wouldn't let me go with that dissertation. I had to write another dissertation. I had to say, here's everything that's happened up to social science, up to me adding de Broglie's equation to Joe's model. Instead of, here's de Broglie's model, here's how it relates to holographic theory, and blah, blah, blah. But I got a gig out at UC Davis, California, and I met Charles Tart, who's one of my heroes. And he's one of the foremost parapsychologists. And I said, hey, Dr. Tart, I got this theory, blah, 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 you know. And I got Jeffrey Carl Pribram, you know, and run past him, and he goes, ooh. So almost like, but Tart goes, yeah, I'll come back when you've got some data, you know. Theory's nothing. You show me some empirical work. So we did some experiments. He introduced me to Bill Tiller. Tiller was doing visualization experiments, trying to get people to visualize either raising or lowering the pH level of water. I was looking at macro level events. I wanted people, well, I not wanted, what I did is I had subjects keep track of some countable event, like how much junk mail they got, or back before cell phones, everyone had landlines. If someone called and they had a wrong number, that was a countable event. And the control group was asked to actively look for change on the ground for a month. The treatment group was asked to visualize getting more junk mail, or more wrong numbers, or finding more coins. Okay? So we did a t-test and did the stats, and the people that visualized got so many more events than the people that didn't visualize that the odds of happening by chance range between 0.02 and 0.006, which is above the 0.05 normal cutoff rate. A friend of mine, Bob Stockham, replicated the experiments at the University of Pennsylvania, and we got the exact same stats. So, Jessica and I go into Charles Tart's office now with arms full of data, saying, here you go, Charles, what do you think? Full of data, saying, here you go, Charles, what do you think? He goes, oh, great, no one's going to believe you. So, this is my first time on record going public with my experiments. And luckily, I don't have to worry about getting fired anymore and all that kind of stuff, so, it's a good time to get stuff out. But it implies that there might be this relationship between thought and your physical reality. That you reap what you sow. What goes around comes around. What you assume becomes manifest. That there is some type of karma or justice. Reap and sow deal. But that has implications as to what the real deal is. In other words, right now, science assumes, and you were bringing this up yesterday, Jane, that consciousness is an epiphenomenon of matter in your brain. And when your brain stops working, you're gone. And people are afraid of societal ills because of that fear. Okay. My hypothesis is stolen right from Thaddeus Golas. And let me tell you a little bit about how I got to that. When I was a grad student, I had an experience called hypnotic age regression, where you're regressed into supposed past lives or focused personalities, however you want to describe it.